We're a global data center advisory team, 50 of us throughout the world, and then I'll get into the data center trends. But the common theme that we're discussed all the time, and the argument in this room, is really the IT is hybrid. There's arguments of owning, leasing, but controlling your infrastructure. In terms of how you house it, it's either owning or leasing the facility, leasing being co-location, or it's a total outsource to the cloud. So IDC is putting out stats in the next 5 years. Every organization, at least 75% of them, will be a hybrid in the next 5 years. So I wanted to get into, we put out a biannual data center trend report. And here I've kind of included what our global organization is thought of as the top 5 data center trends. And I'll get into absorption. The growth is astronomical from data, storage, and compute. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But these are what we're seeing from a global perspective. First, data center REITs. It was mentioned earlier, one of the hottest REIT growths in the REIT sector. All of these organizations, if you look at the top 5 there, Equinix, CoreSite, Cyrus, Digital Realty, global growth, global expansion, were the hottest trends. And this report is our first half report. We'll be publishing our second half. It should be coming out at the end of this month. So just a disclaimer on that. So from a REIT perspective, and I'll get into absorption, they're seeing about a 30% growth of absorption. And it's I think Alex had the point, around 9% annual growth for the REITs. So it's tremendous. And again, all this compute, storage, data that continues through, DevOps, IoT, edge compute, all these different applications that are out there. Okay. The NA REIT, who has the annual conference in San Francisco and in New York, has put out the investment has been astronomical. You're seeing in the press acquisitions, sale leasebacks. We have a dedicated capital markets team that basically supports this. It helps with getting the right cap rates, sell prices, credits, financing, all that. They've had historic growth over the last 5 years in that. Third, as we get back to the theme of hybrid, SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is one of these latest emerging technologies that really compresses bandwidth. And we're seeing that as being one of the key indicators as clients make their selections, as they move their workloads between their own infrastructure, what they lease, and what they outsource to a colo. So that technology is going to be incumbent and continue to be at the forefront because, again, compressed, cost-effective bandwidth. And again, we'll get into it with networks. One of the key decisions in selecting a site is strong, redundant, and scalable networks. Okay. Blockchain. This is a fascinating. I know blockchain is associated with Bitcoin. We all know about the Bitcoin. We can have another conversation with that with the wall. All right. But blockchain is now getting developed into a global network. And you're hearing about blockchain being for smart contracts, supply chain. This technology will continue to develop. There's a series of iterations of it. All the major financial companies, Jamie Dimon's heavily invested in it. You're not going to see this go away. It's going to evolve, and it's going to be very applicable to the data center business. And there will be a global blockchain network in the next 5 years. Okay, here's one thing that we are definitely involved in: data center contracts monetized. Basically, 5-10 years ago, you do a lease, 10 years, you either own the facility or you go to a co-location, you do a 10-year contract. Today, I think it was referenced by Alex. I think it was referenced by Mike. Contracts are a lot shorter. We get involved with the strategy, the IT strategy, the business strategies of the enterprise, the clients, because there is a flexible model needed with every client of, again, owning, leasing, and outsourcing. So we go and we build out a lease and we make sure they're protected from, again, moving workloads, expansion, reduction, portability, global footprints, edge compute, things of these nature. We make sure that it's built into the contracts. Okay, so this was taken for the first half of the year. We completed this in July. I believe a lot of you have this, but this is basically what the absorption in the co-location market is globally. And it's around 415 megawatts for the first 6 months of the year. The heart, obviously, as you see, and we'll get into it in the different markets, is Northern Virginia, Ashburn. I'm sure you're all familiar with that market and why it's the biggest. One, has the largest cloud density and population. Two, it is the heartbeat and the central point of all networks, internet, things of that nature. Three, very low cost power. And four, one of the best tax incentives to build and operate in that market. So we'll get into that. So the other thing you'll see here too, the US and Canada market, 28% growth from last year. So you can see 28% growth in the co-location market. So it's astronomical how that's growing year over year. Some other thoughts just on EMEA and APAC for all you global deployments. 69 megawatts of net was demonstrated in the first half in EMEA and 60 in APAC. So, and to the whole edge thought of this, we think in the next 3 years, there's 25 markets there. We think this will triple in the next 5 years because now we're going to start to see the edge absorption start to pick up. So as you have, to Mike's point earlier, you have markets like Kansas City, Nashville, Omaha, Nebraska, as the edge absorption, edge demand goes out, co-location providers, and there are specialized edged providers out there that will support those markets. We're going to see that continue. So. Okay. The largest tenant in co-location is the cloud. And here is what you're seeing for percentage of absorption in these markets. And I think you're all familiar what you see in the press with what goes on in Ashburn in terms of Amazons, the Facebooks, the Googles, massive deployments to support their demand. And again, on that public side of agility, DevOps, where everybody just goes there quickly, they're getting a large amount of that topologies. Okay, EMEA, 70% of all absorption is recorded in London. And then we get in here and there's big growth in Austin and San Antonio. Okay, here's construction. So as you can see, Ashburn continues to grow. I mean, the Loudoun County is at near capacity. So now it's starting to move into Reston, Manassas, and other counties just outside Northern Virginia. And we'll see the continue of that just based on the over the 200 megawatts per year of demand that's coming in that market. Now, here's the construction is the big debate. Where do you house this, right? So construction takes 12 months. So hence, a lot of the cloud providers go into co-locations because the co-locations can easily fit them in a footprint in less than 6 months. So we're seeing this trend of large amount of cloud going into colo just based on construction can't keep up with construction to support the demand. And there will be over 760 megawatts under construction in the next 6 months. Okay, I think somebody, it might have been Alex, mentioned what's going on in terms of M&A. Here's the first half of the year, the top 5 largest M&A deals. And I think a few of you are in the room. I recognize one in the back. He's on that list. But these are, again, because clients are demanding global footprints, the strategy with these top REITs is it goes back to earlier mention of standardization. They look to go to a global provider that can offer standardization across the globe in terms of operation. Hence, this is why a lot of these folks are building out and acquiring to defeat global footprints to support this. All right. And this is just a kind of overview of what's going on. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's kind of what I highlighted earlier. Need a little microphone, micro eyeglass on this. Supply, the top REITs continue to grow there. Demand is obviously the hyperscalers, cloud, social media, and the trends are construction that's going into other markets outside Manassas, things of that nature. All right, and hence, you see some things on the right, low-cost power. Obviously, the data center key critical element is power, and Ashburn is one of the most competitive markets for that. Here is our lovely state of New Jersey in comparison, which is a higher cost of power, and obviously much lower absorption rates, just in the 5 megawatt range. Obviously, the tax incentives, a lot different than Ashburn, and some detail on that. So, and here's our team. We're 50 globally. We basically offer a strategy assessment. We do a market diagnostic and financial diagnostic that aligns with that strategy to help them build out their hybrid approach. And our team has done, these are the transactions, we've done over 250 megawatts on an annual basis. We're in 35 plus markets. We see that expanding. This is what we're able to offer. So not only the data center transaction, we can help, we have facility management teams, project development teams to help with any build outs, any deployments. We work a lot with BRUNS-PAK in terms of, high performance compute, open compute, some of these sophisticated designs that clients are looking for. We help with the site selection, project management, business incentives, the finance. Like I said, we have capital markets that can help with helping the sale leaseback, acquisition, things of that nature, and engineering operations. Here's some of the transactions that the team has done recently. And a lot of these are sale leasebacks. As again, the hybrid model gives them the flexibility as the asset starts to age, as well as operations. Do they want to continue to own and operate, or do they want a provider to come and operate? Background on me. Okay. That's it. Any questions?